Taller podcast. Been a little bit of a minute again since we've been on here, but Michigan State week's here. Um, See if we can pull it out today. But real quick, we're gonna go back, look at the game from 2 weeks ago. That we just do a quick recap on that. Kind of just talk about it a little bit. The Penn State game overall, it was you take out 2-3 plays, it was pure domination. Um, I mean, if you look at it, you take away Trace McSorley's run, you take away that fluke little battered interception, they return complete domination.
Trace McSorley.
Not Trace McSorley, whatever.
Holy shit! How far back did you go?
Dude, they've had their quarterbacks are all like the same size. Not Trace.
They are,
McSorley.
but this kid, now I can't even think of his name, but this kid's been here seems like 25 years.
Oh yeah. I want to go back to even farther to think of this kid's name, but I'm trying to think Christian Hackenberg. Man, that was 2 quarterbacks ago. I don't know why I can't think of it. Good quarterback though. Decent quarterback. I mean, but anyways, I mean, let's see. We went. I think at one point, being at the game, I looked up and they had like 18 total yards before that run by McSorley. Not McSorley. Dang it. Okay, what's this kid's name again?
I want to say Cliff, but
Clifford. Sean Clifford.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me pull up that game real quick here. I mean, we had 4 pretty easy win, 41-17. It was closer at halftime. 418 yards total. I mean, again, pure domination. Corum goes off. Edwards went off. I mean, the run game was there. That's, again, what wins us the ball games.
You were there, so the perspective is always a little bit different in person, right? But they, it was total domination. I think we were 14-10 at half. It very easily could have been 35-0. Sean Clifford had that run, and then JJ had a tip that bounced off a guy's helmet and pick six, right? So kind of happy. On one hand, fluke thing, but on the other hand, JJ's been living a little bit dangerously, and as we play better and better teams, and that's going to be a key of the game today is he's almost had 5 or 6 turnovers, and really he's only ended up with 1. We've been really fortunate, from that perspective. So need to be pay a little bit better attention to ball security, because just the law of averages, eventually, those things are going to go against us, and we've been pretty fortunate so far this year, but we could have beat them if things had played out right for us. We could have beat them by 50 plus. And you could make an argument that we should have. We go back to today's Penn State OSU game. Had we did a podcast this morning, I was going to pick Penn State to upset Ohio State. And I just had a feeling they would. And for 3.5 quarters, I was right. But James Franklin he's got to be one of the most overrated coaches in college football, especially time management, late game situations. And, turnovers killed them. I think Clifford had 3. He had at least 3 interceptions. And I think they had another turnover. And when you're -4 on turnovers, you're not going to win. You're not going to win very often.
And you're also definitely not going to win against Ohio State, Michigan.
Right.
Teams like
that.
And,
Ohio State looked very average. But they, the last quarter, we were talking on the phone real quick. 14 points in 36 seconds, I think it was, and 4 touchdowns in like 6 minutes. Big play, big play, big play. And that's what makes them so dangerous. So, even if you're up 2-3 scores late in the fourth quarter, that game is not over, because they are very capable of scoring points in a hurry. And that is without Jibba Smith the Jibba, whatever. To me, he's their best receiver, even though Marvin Harrison Jr. is elite as well.
I think Harrison will be a receiver by the time he leaves.
Yeah, I think so too. And if you got both of those weapons on the field, watch out. So, but I will say this: with that being said, I feel better about that game in 4 weeks today than I did yesterday. So, they're a very one-dimensional team, and they couldn't run on Penn State. Had one big run late in the game that helped propel them to the lead, but I think we can control the line of scrimmage on both plays or on both sides of the ball, and if we can get pressure on their quarterback Stroud, I think things look good for us. But anyways, kind of got off on a tangent about something that's 4 weeks away, and we're talking about the Penn State game. But the Penn State game turned out really well. They were a top 10 team. I think they proved today that they were a top 10 team. As well, even though it ended up being a lopsided score.
They lost by 13. You can't give, but again, they gave up 28 points in the fourth quarter.
Right, you can't do that. I don't care who you're playing.
And I think, like you said, they kind of proved they were like a top 10, top 15 team. I completely agree. But so it makes our win last week look way better, because when I left, I know at least when I left the stadium, I was like, oh, Penn State, not the team they were. And then they come in. They were at home. Happy Valley's a tough place to play, but same thing. You got to win the games no matter where you're at, and Ohio State did it. I did not realize that. I didn't realize that Harrison had 185 yards.
Yeah. No, he piled them up in a hurry.
Yeah. But, going back, at least on our game against Penn State, get off the Ohio State crap. I don't want to talk about them too much. Don't want to give and really the whole team ran the ball well. Yes, Edwards, Corum doing good. JJ had 57 yards rushing on 7 carries, and CJ Stokes on 4 carries had 22. Good to see him get back in the ball game. We hadn't seen him much since he had that fumble, I think, against Maryland or something like that. Hadn't seen him that much. Receivers wise, it's pretty spread out. You had Cornelius Johnson with 43, 3 receptions. Ronnie Bell had 39 yards and 5 receptions. Roman Wilson, 4 and 29. You had 4 receivers over 20 yards receiving. One of them being Donovan Edwards out of the backfield. Like you said, I kind of forgot about this. It could have been a lot different, though. JJ fumbled that football. Luckily, it went out of bounds. And then Edwards fumbled that football that we got back.
Yeah.
Like I said, it definitely could have went either way, but I think the fact that we were able to jump on those again, instead of having 3 turnovers, we ended up with just that one. It was, as I said, it was pure domination. Didn't punt the ball once against a top 10 team. I do want to point that out. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you don't punt the ball against a top 10 team and a team that came in at defense, that's huge there. That means we're kicking field goal scoring or turning the ball over, which only one of those is a turnover. So you can't really complain with that. I'm going to go off on a little side tangent here. Kind of got my blood boiling when you mentioned old James Franklin and all this shit that he's talking about. Oh, Michigan has 1 tunnel. That's a problem. We need to fix this. Blah blah blah. Now you need to fix your own fucking team, dude. Your team was the team that stopped. They want to turn around and talk shit, throw fucking PB&J fucking sandwiches like we're fucking 12-year-old kids in high school, middle school.
4-year-olds in daycare, really.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Mila could do that.
Right.
But it's never been a problem. Yeah, you have your little arguments here and there with Ohio State, but it don't matter what's going on. There's gonna be something that happens there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen tonight with Michigan State. But you don't see brawls in the tunnel. You see yelling, screaming, middle fingers being thrown.
Right.
He wants to seem like it's WWE Royal Rumble in that tunnel, and it's not. You get your team, you get them in the locker room, and it's not a problem.
Right. And the bottom line is he gets his, like you said, he gets his team in the locker room. They allow, I think it's a 2-minute buffer. So as you know, and as I've talked about a little bit here, I worked in the security detail, and that was always part of the deal. And, you know, I did it for, I think it was 12 years, and never once did I see anything other than you described. Some people talking shit. You know, when they're coming down to the tunnel for the game, a lot of times I was in the tunnel then, and the opposing team is right behind Michigan, or Michigan's right behind the opposing team, and there's some staffers from both schools and a little bit of security in between. You know, that wasn't part of my deal. I just was there to kind of observe the atmosphere. I wasn't really on duty at that point, but or on duty for that particular thing. But very little problems. You know, Michigan State has a 1-tunnel system.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're not the only school, but I promise you right now, University of Michigan is not changing that. That is a legendary tunnel. That is
right.
I would probably go burn the big house down before I would be happy with the University of
Right.
Michigan changing it to a 2-tunnel system. We losing that history, all that. The amount of people that have walked up down that tunnel in the years. Tom Brady, Desmond Howard, Charles Woodson. You just keep going on and on. Even opposing players that have walked down there.
Right.
I mean, there's so much history there. There's no way.
You go back to the stadium was built, right? I mean, Tom Harmon, forget the last 25, 30 years, that just a plethora of people. So yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, the visiting team too, coaches and things like that. I think without being an architect and an engineer, they could probably right at the entrance put a doorway in and tunnel up towards the visiting locker room, because the way that goes up since the addition of the suites and stuff, you know, the tunnel extends a little bit right to the left. There's the locker rooms, but also to the left, you know, there's media rooms and rooms for the referees and restrooms for all the press and the press room and all that stuff. And I think it probably could be done. It might affect a few seats, but I don't see it. I don't see it as an issue, and it would be a tremendous expense, probably a couple $1 million, just because, you know, that tunnel is relatively untouched from when it was built. I mean, repairs have been made, and they've, you know, obviously run electricity and things like that, but it's still the old plaster walls in place. So I hate to see anything disturbed, but yeah, the bottom line is nothing. For, you know, Franklin, and watching those videos, I know you watched them too. He looked like he was just as much part of the problem as anybody else.
Yeah, Harbaugh said the same thing. I mean, Harbaugh said in his thing this week, he said looked like he was the word he used, I can't think of
instigator.
Yeah, it's like the main instigator, the main problem. Like, and that just looks back at the university. I mean, we get it. Penn State's Penn State. They're going to be in my opinion, the team that wish they could, but can't. Wants to be the Michigan, Ohio State of the Big Ten, but
right.
I mean, they never have been, and honestly, they probably never will be. It just, I mean, Penn State came they've been in the league since what year did they get in the Big Ten? Like, was it in the 90s or was it the early 2000s?
90s. I think 94 is what comes to mind. I'm not sure that's correct though.
I'll tell you right now. That doesn't tell me anything. 1990. No, it was. Oh wow, it was later than that. It was 1989.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah,
I should remember that's the year I graduated high school.
Yeah, they gave them. Yeah, in 1989. Even then, I mean, they haven't. I'm not gonna just spout off stats, but I mean, I think I can only think of my head. They won it a few years ago. They won the Big Ten. But where I was going to go with that before I kind of got off was with Penn State wants to be that team where they want to be the Michigan, Ohio State of the Big Ten. They want to repetitively be up there. But, damn it. Oh, they want to try to start rivalries with us. Like, y'all aren't a rival. You guys can keep your rivalry with Michigan State. Cool, whatever. But you're not a rival.
Right.
You might be a big game on our schedule, but so is Wisconsin.
Yep.
So is anybody else in the Big Ten that's decent. I mean, you're a big name on our schedule every year. Yeah, you're a big game. You're probably the third biggest game of the year, though. Let me tell you that, because I guarantee it's Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State on our schedule every year, and games we want to win. I mean, it's just, as Harbaugh said, it's child's play.
Yeah, absolutely. And Penn State has been very good since joining the Big Ten, but they haven't been great. Their glory years have been Joe Pa, and we all know what happened there. So again, they've been very good, but I remember. So I was 18 years old when they joined. There was talk about how Penn State was going to dominate thing, and they were a national powerhouse for a lot of years, but it was shortly they weren't built to compete in the Big Ten, and it was shortly after that their programs kind of started to taper down. And James Franklin, to me, I think Penn State can do better than that.
He's a fraud. He's the biggest fraud coach that probably is, in my opinion. A lot of people. That's what I don't get. Is everyone gave Harbaugh a lot of fucking shit. A lot of shit. Look at James Franklin at Penn State. You don't see anything. And you see this and that. That man ain't gonna get fired.
No.
I will be shocked if Penn State fires him, because Penn State's okay with going 9-3, 8-4 every year. But no, Jim Harbaugh takes 7 seasons to win his first Big Ten championship in a program that was absolutely destroyed, in my opinion, when he came in.
Absolutely.
I mean, did it take a little bit longer than I think everyone thought? 100%. But let me tell you this: Dabo Swinney didn't win
Absolutely.
Dabo Swinney and Clemson didn't win an ACC championship in one of the weakest Power 5. Probably not the weakest. Pac-12 is probably the weakest. Between the ACC and Pac-12, it doesn't matter though. Conferences there is, and it took them 7 years to do it, or 6 years, 5, 6 years, a little bit shorter than what Harbaugh did, I think. But now we're seeing that in my opinion, I think we're gonna see the run over of finally getting that Big Ten championship, finally beating Ohio State. I said, me and you talked about this last year. I said, we need to beat Ohio State to be able to get over that hump. And if as long as we can go into the shoe this year and win it, I know we're getting down the road, but I think we're worlds above where we need to be. We'll be right where I thought Harbaugh would take us, and I think you agree with me completely too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Harbaugh underestimated the condition of the team. I think he made a couple questionable coaching hires, and the biggest problem though was he never found his guy at quarterback. A lot of guys with a lot of hype that didn't pan out for a lot of reasons, and I don't think that most of it necessarily was his fault, but the bottom line is it falls on him, and the expectations, not only from the fan base, but from opposing fan bases, nationally, were sky high, that the only way that he would have met them is if he'd have come in and won 2 or 3 national championships in his first 5 years. And other than that, he was always going to be garbage in our opponent's eyes. We've seen the progression, everything. We've seen some progression, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back for a few years. And then, the COVID year, everybody lost their mind. And I really thought that And it's easy to say now in hindsight, but I really thought that things were trending in the right direction, and it turned out to be right. So, still a little early to say that, hey, we're a national contender, on a yearly basis, but it sure looks that way. First time we've started out 7-0 in back-to-back years since 1973-74 season. That's a great sign. The stinky part of it is with the SEC getting a lot of love. If we happen to go into Ohio State defeated and lose, I think that we'll probably get left out. And unless something changes drastically, the next 4 or 5 weeks of the season, I still honestly believe that we're a top 4 team in the country. But that's the way it is. Playoff expansion is coming. That'll take care of that. But even if we do happen to lose to them, I don't think that takes away from the thought of you and I and a lot of Michigan fans that, hey, we're back on a national stage, and here's your notice. And maybe some things happen to change that, but I don't think so, because I don't care who you are. The Bama teams of old would have a hard time going into the shoe in November.
Oh, 100%.
It's a tough environment to play, right? So I want to win. I hope we win, but there's no shame in losing down there. It's a top 5 tough place to play, especially that late in the year with everything going on in the line. Columbus, one thing that and I don't want to say admire, because I can't admire anything about that shithole, but those guys travel really well. Penn State Stadium was a third red today.
Oh, yeah, I seen that when I was watching it.
And the other thing is them motherfuckers do not sell their tickets. They do not in big groups like a lot of other fan bases do. So, it's hard to get a really big, we travel as well as anybody, but at the shoe, it's hard to get a really large presence there, to kind of negate that home field advantage. So we'll see what happens. Still got 4 games to play before them, counting today. But it sure is exciting to think about. And this is what every Michigan fan and every sports fan feels about their team. We got what we've wanted for so long so far.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, focus on Ohio State when we get to Ohio State. But, I mean, this is kind of a good transition for the game tonight. Michigan State. My opinion, should take them out very easily. But as we all know, in the past years, hasn't been so easy.
No, something interesting that I read, not to cut you off, sorry, but something interesting that I read a couple days ago was that the team that has scored first in this game has lost like 7 out of the last 8, I think it was, which is very interesting to me. It's almost a jinx, like, hey, you go ahead and score first and then we're good. But I'm with you. I think we roll them. I think it'll be a tough first half. As we talked about, the great teams, and I think we're right on that edge, beat you up and wear you down because of their strength and their athleticism and their depth. And that's usually when talent shows its face. So I expect to see that. A lot like Ohio State. I don't know that I consider State even our top 3 or 4th rival, but as a fan, it's the second game that I want to win the most behind Ohio State, just because little brother talks and just makes up so much stuff. And I know it shouldn't get to me because I know 90% of it's bullshit, but it does. And I just like these guys think they're Alabama of the North, and they're not even Texas A&M of the North. No. So I really like to win it to shut them up. But
Again,
for
as
years
we
and years and years, it does not matter what their records is. It's a backyard brawl, and that's what makes it so fun. So I ultimately think that we win by 3+ scores, but I do think it's going to be a hell of a game in the first half.
yeah, I mean, hang on before I ask, what's the weather like there? It's supposed to be sunny, cloudy, rainy.
It's been cool all day. It says it's 59. It feels a lot cooler than that.
Okay, this is supposed to rain.
I don't believe so, but I'm
Good,
looking
because
for
we
it
don't
right
need a
now.
goddamn monsoon again, like in 2017 or whatever that was.
Nope, clear. Temperature's going to start dropping about a half hour before game time. It's going to be 49 at 8 o'clock and going to be 40 by the time game's over, probably. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's a particular advantage for either one.
No,
Since they're 40 miles apart.
My main thing. I was the rain. That's if it was going to rain again, man. We just want. But I think the only way. I think this is exactly this. I'll go off this. I think this is what Michigan State's going to do, at least on the offensive side of the football. It's going to go. We're going to go back to that COVID year. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. They took big shots. They kind of just threw prayers up and hope it would work. Hope. Like, oh, here, I'm just going to throw it up. Hopefully someone will catch it. And they did. And they hit us with big play after big play, and they were just throwing the football up. I think it's going to be 50-50 balls. Going downfield is the way Michigan State's going to attempt to beat us tonight. Sorry, in my opinion, ain't going to run the ball. Defense, that front seven, way too good. Penn State couldn't do it. Really, no one's did it all season. You ain't. Yeah, I think the 50. That's the way I think they're gonna. If they have a shot to beat us, it's gonna be them hitting them 50-50 balls, going downfield, 30, 40, 50 yards downfield, and their receiver going up making a catch.
They always have one guy, it seems like, that comes out of nowhere and plays out of his mind for this game. And if it's on the defensive side of the ball, that really doesn't worry me. But like you said, they start throwing the ball up, and our secondary.
Way better.
Said time and time again, I think Sainristil's legit, but haven't been tested right. They're Peyton Thorne's accomplished quarterback, pretty steady, got a lot of experience.
He has seven interceptions, by the way.
And I realize that, but
defense, get turnovers. Y'all haven't got barely any this season. It's killing me.
No, so if we can get pressure on them, if we can get pressure on any quarterback, I like our chances. And I just have a feeling listening to these guys talk in interviews and social media stuff that they're fucking ready, and they're not gonna. Everybody knows. Between the Aiden's touchdown getting a takeaway, and so, we had, I think it was a 14-17 point lead at one point, and let them back in the game. Was it? I think they're very determined to not let happen again. And then again, night game, big house. They beat us in the last night game, at the big house. There's a lot of things where our guys have a bad taste in their mouth, and this team seems to be very focused. So as long as we don't lose anybody important to injury, and I think we handle our business. But that's why we play the game.
Yeah, and like I said, I agree completely, and I think pretty much the same. Me and you are pretty much on the same wavelength. I mean, real quick though, hey, if you don't want to walk out sad tonight, I mean, you can. I know you can do it over your phone. I don't have to run to the casino real quick. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, either way, I mean, you're going to be mad that Michigan lost, but if Michigan somehow loses this football game, the spread is 23 points. So you take the plus,
right?
Throw down $100. You're going to walk out pretty damn happy either way. But
yeah, couple grand, I think it
Yeah.
equals out to be. And I would just before I was waiting for the computer to boot up before we start this podcast, I got a thing on my phone. It wasn't DraftKings. I can't remember who it was, but bet $5, and if you get the right team, Michigan State, you win 200. And I thought, well, shit, it wouldn't hurt to bet
must be nice.
$5 on each one. You know what I mean? That way you're guaranteed to win. You'd have to create 2 accounts probably, but whatever.
Yeah, must be nice to be able to do that on your phone. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I think we roll him. I mean, I don't think Peyton Thorne's a good quarterback whatsoever. I mean, he's not bad, but I don't think he's a good quarterback.
No, but he's been around long enough that I don't think that he's gonna get rattled. He's gonna stay in the game. And first, I wouldn't be shocked. Again, I almost expect it. First half is 10-3, 14-7, 14-10, 17-14, something like that. And that's what you don't want to do is give these teams the confidence that, hey, we're sticking around and we got a chance in the second half. It'd be lovely to put them away, but a young, inexperienced guy is going to get rattled where he's been around long enough to know, hey, we're still in this. But with that being said, if we can get a bunch of pressures on him and not even sacks, knock him to the ground 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in the first half and beat him up a little bit, I think the party's over. They don't have Kenneth Walker and they don't have anybody that's nearly close to his ability. And
no, Jalen Berger. I mean,
as much as these guys like to talk, the truth of the matter is without him last year, we win by 3 touchdowns.
We win by 5 touchdowns.
Right. So
he scored 5 touchdowns. He's not there.
Right.
Probably not finding that out of anybody else. Just saying, because you ain't find that out of. I mean,
nobody saw that coming. Nobody. Otherwise, every program in the country would have been after him. Nobody wanted him. He went to.
I want to know what Wake Forest did with him, because Wake Forest. I don't know what Wake Forest is thinking of working with him. Is the fact that he was at Wake Forest and comes to Michigan State and does that. And then, I mean, he's having a hell of a year in the NFL this season too for the Seahawks.
He is too. Started off slow, and he's starting to show his skill. So, tip of the cap is really all you can do. The guy put the team on his back, and they beat us, and he's gone. Good riddance. And I hope that nobody shows up like that this year, because like I said, every year, Walker had a good year last year up to our point, but that was really his coming out party on a national scene to do what he did to, with Ojabo and Aiden on the line. And we just can't have that relatively unknown guy come out and make himself a superstar today, because that seems to be what always bites us in the ass.
Yep. 100%. I agree completely. I think with me, I think we win it like probably 38-10.
I'm going 42-17.
Yeah. I was just so I think it's 48-10 or not 48, 38. I mean, like you said, I think same thing you said. Mike, I don't want us to be close in the first half. I hope we just come out and there's no doubt about the game going into halftime. But I mean, like, rivalry game, probably not going to happen. So.
No, it's just like when we were down and Ohio State was rolling with Urban Meyer, we were in every game in the first half against them. Yeah. And, that's when the talent and the depth that showed up. And it's kind of the same thing. Emotions can only take you so far, right? And then the depth and the talent take over. So I wouldn't be shocked. I would absolutely love to see us up 35-42 nothing at halftime, and then I would spend the second half on my phone. I got like 50 memes saved up.
Oh, me too. I haven't really talked much this week, but
yeah, I posted a couple of relatively mild memes today, but I'll leave my talking to after the game because I've learned that lesson.
Yeah, I thought I learned that lesson for the 2 years we won in 18 and 19, and then
So we're not going to jinx myself, but yeah, I think halftime it's like like you said, 21-14, 17-10, something like that, and then we wear them down and put our foot on the gas in the second half.
Yeah, I one thing, at least game related, but not game related. I'm interested to see how this blue out looks.
Yeah,
If because I mean the blue out, in my opinion, I think it'll work better than the maze out. As we talked before, you're in November.
right.
I mean, you're almost November. It's in
Yeah,
Michigan.
we're basically November, a couple days.
And I mean, you're sitting there. It's cold. As we talked about, Michigan doesn't make. Well, they don't make a lot of cold weather stuff in Mays. I mean, I think everyone realizes that. So I mean, I think doing a blue out. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like. And like a night game. I'm really interested. Like if it's going to look good, going to look cool, or if it's kind of going to look like weird. Because in my opinion, like I'm kind of on the edge about it.
Yeah, me too. Now I've seen some. I'm sure you follow Swanky Wolverine on Twitter.
Oh, his edits.
Yeah, he's done some mock-ups and it looks pretty good. But in my mind, that could darken the stadium up enough where it'd be harder to track the ball. When you're going towards those end zones. I don't know, but that's my concern. I don't really care how it looks. That's more your generation's thing. I don't get to all blue unis, I guess, with maize underneath.
Yeah, I definitely thought they were going to wear the maize unis tonight.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me last week what jerseys we were wearing, what uniforms we were wearing tonight, I definitely would have said maize, or at least the maize tops, blue bottoms.
Yeah,
I'm shocked they done.
And so that goes into my tracking thing. I wonder, the blue on blue, but we'll see. And Sparty's coming out in all white. It looks like so.
They always wear all color. When they're home, they wear all green. When we're away, they always wear all white. So hopefully beat that.
Of which, hang on real quick. I want to go off course here for a second because I don't get into all these. I'm a traditional guy, right? I don't get all these different uniforms and stuff, but it's kind of grown on me a little bit as the years went by. The last 7-8 years when this has become really popular. But Tennessee's fucking black uniforms are bad. To
the Halloween ones?
Bone.
Oh hell yeah, the smoke black.
Those are
100%.
bad to the bone.
Oh yeah, 100%. Those are bad. They play what? Who do they play tonight?
Florida, I think.
Kentucky. Play Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah.
They got Bama next. They got Georgia next week.
Yeah.
Tennessee does. That'll
tell the tale there.
Yeah, I mean
they already beat Bama and Georgia.
Still got to go through the SEC championship game, which you're gonna play.
And they do,
Bama.
but I think if they beat Bama and Georgia, that
they're
maybe
gonna play Bama again in the Big Ten. I mean the Big
right.
SEC
but even if they lose it, I think they're in because they beat 2 top teams, and I think that. Well, no, that wouldn't work because
if you look at us,
the conference game, then they're going to be the second team in, right? So, I really think it's time for there's 2 teams for the SEC to stop, but we might see it one more year.
Now you're at least see it 2.
Yep.
2024 don't start until the new playoff system. Really, another thing. Did you see the Big Ten isn't changing the divisions and stuff until?
Yeah,
they were talking about changing it until tomorrow or like to next year, changing up divisions and stuff. Let's just. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna go. I mean, I hope they change it up a little bit. It would be great as long as they protect the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry to put Michigan and Ohio State on each side, and it would be great for the conference, in my opinion.
It would be, and I don't care what they do as long as they protect that rivalry.
Oh yeah, I don't care. We don't play Michigan State every year. I don't care as long as that game is on that schedule 306 every single year. I mean, that's the biggest rivalry in sports.
The problem with preserving that and putting us in different divisions is we would play each other in theory if we both won our divisions 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but again, I think that would be absolutely amazing. I mean, at least for the conference wise.
In a
And I
season
think,
like this, where we're both potentially going to be in there undefeated, it would be epic, right? Especially
but you're
if
going to
that
have,
game turned out like the 2006 game or the 2016 game, where it was just head to head for 4 quarters, and Ohio State happened to win both those games, but everybody would be chomping at the bit to see them play again the next week.
yeah, you get we lose by 3 or 7 or 4, whatever it is.
Right.
And those teams come back and play the next week. I mean, it's the same thing as SEC does. Yeah, they don't play back-to-back weeks. So last year, Bama, Georgia.
Right.
Bama took down Georgia. Georgia took down Bama. Whatever.
So the one bad thing about that, if they put us in separate divisions, is they would probably move that game up to like maybe now, which I'd be willing for that sacrifice as long as we kept it. But we're putting the cart in front of the horse there. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I figured that'd be a nice little talk there. But other than that, I think worry about tonight's game. Hopefully I don't gonna hit the bottle too hard tonight. Not like last year over again. Please
right?
No. I can't.
Oh, that was bad. I forgot about that. You called me. You were hit.
I took like 3 shots after we lost. What do you mean? I was talking to Curtis on the phone today, and I go, yeah, I don't cry anymore when we lose. I just get really drunk. But yeah, hopefully we beat little brother and talk to y'all. Hopefully, probably do a recap show tomorrow as long as you aren't busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would do it tonight, but by then I'm gonna be. Actually, I'm going out for Halloween tonight, so that's why I'm not doing it tonight.
Yeah,
but
I'm old, man. I'll be ready for bed by the time the game's over.
At least you admit it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Blew out in the Big House night game. Big House should be rocking.
It'll be rocking for sure.
As always, man, go blue, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Fuck little.